I'm in my home office in Canada staring at a spreadsheet when my phone buzzes with Nathan's name. And in that moment, my entire world flips upside down. My name is Ava Morrison, and I'm 38 years old, working as a data analyst for a tech firm in Ottawa, digging through financial patterns for startups, which is precise work that Nathan always said was too nerdy for him. We've been married for 10 years, building a life with investments, a cozy house in the suburbs and dreams we thought we shared. But this Wednesday evening in May, his voice on the phone rips all that apart. He says he's not coming back, and I feel my chest tighten because I know what's coming before he even says it. "I'm leaving you for Isabelle," he says. Cool, like he's canceling a dinner plan, and I'm just sitting there clutching my mouse, because Isabelle is his boss at the marketing agency where he's been chasing promotions. He says she's brilliant, she understands him, she sees his ambition, and I'm trying to process this, because it's not just that he's leaving, but he's been planning it behind my back. Then he drops the real bomb, and I swear I stop breathing for a second, because he says he's already cleaned out our joint investment account, and his lawyer called it the right move. I don't say a word at first, because my head is spinning, and I'm fighting to keep my voice calm. But inside I'm raging, because that account is 10 years of our life. Every late night, every calculated risk, every dollar we saved together. $112,000. He thinks he's taken, and I'm supposed to just accept it, but that's not who I am. I tell him I hear you in this quiet tone that feels foreign to me, and he pauses like he expected me to scream or plead, but I don't give him that satisfaction. "Take care, Nathan," I say, and I end the call before he can respond because I need to move and I need to think. I set my phone down screen first on the desk, and my hands are trembling, but I force myself to open my laptop because I live for data, and data doesn't betray you the way people do. I log into our financial portal, and there it is, his transfer request flashing on the screen, pending approval, and I almost smile because it's my approval. He needs $212,000 he tried to take, but it's not gone, and I shut the laptop without doing anything because I need to steady myself and plan my next step. This didn't hit me out of nowhere, and I'm kicking myself for not acting sooner because the signs were there for months. Nathan started having after-hours meetings that never showed up on his agency's schedule, and I'd find charges for cocktails in downtown Ottawa when he said he was stuck at the office. There was a text from Isabelle at 11 at night that he laughed off as a client crisis, but I noticed how he started locking his phone and tilting it away from me. I'm trained to spot patterns because my job is about finding what's hidden in the numbers, so 5 months ago, I started covering my bases without admitting why. I restructured our accounts, moving most of our money into a trust under my name, while leaving a smaller joint account with just enough to seem legit. Nathan signed the papers without a glance, too busy scrolling his phone during breakfast, and I kept my mouth shut. That joint account he thinks he's drained is a drop in the bucket compared to the $870,000 safe in my trust where he can't touch it. The transfer he tried needs dual authentication for anything over $10,000 because I insisted on that rule. And tomorrow morning, he's going to learn what pending really means. I'm pacing the office now because the shock is fading, and I'm furious at how I let this slide. We met 12 years ago at a tech conference in Vancouver where I was analyzing market trends, and Nathan was this charismatic marketing guy who could charm anyone. He was all about big ideas, and I was the grounded one, balancing him with my data-driven plans. We got married 2 years later, promising each other a future of shared adventures, weekend trips to Algonquin Park, dinner parties with colleagues and kids by year 4. But the kids never came, because after years of trying, the doctor said, Nathan's low sperm count made it nearly impossible, and I sat in the car holding his hand while he looked away. We talked about surrogacy or adoption, but he shut down, throwing himself into work, and I dove deeper into my datasets because it was easier than facing the distance between us. His new boss, Isabelle, came on the scene 2 years ago, and suddenly, Nathan was signing up for every campaign, every conference, every late-night brainstorming session. "She sees my potential," he'd say, and I noticed how he stopped planning our weekends and started planning his career. I'm back at my desk now because the anger is burning, and I'm done being blind. I saw the signs, the guarded texts, the way he'd take calls in the garage, the new password on his laptop, but I didn't call him out because I didn't want to face the truth. I just observed and planned and protected myself, because that's what I do. I opened my laptop again and double-checked the transfer details because I need to be certain, and it's still there, waiting for my approval. I could block it now or let it hang, but I don't touch it because I want him to think he's gotten away with it for just a bit longer. I pull a folder from my drawer, the one I put together 4 months ago, with every detail of our financial setup. It's all there, the trust in my name, the joint accounts restrictions, everything signed and airtight. I'm not helpless, and that hits me hard because Nathan thought he could take everything and walk away, but he's about to find out who I am. Tomorrow he's going to call again, probably livid when the bank stops the transfer, and I'll be waiting because this is just the beginning. I wake up to my phone, buzzing nonstop, and it's Nathan's name lighting up the screen over and over because the bank must have flagged his transfer by now. I'm Ava Morrison, and after last night's bombshell, where my husband of 10 years told me he's leaving me for his boss Isabelle and tried to wipe out our joint account with $212,000, I'm running on fury and adrenaline. I don't answer his calls because I'm not ready to hear his excuses, and I need to stay sharp. So I sit at my kitchen table in Canada, sipping coffee that's gone cold, staring at the laptop where his transfer request is still pending my approval. 8 missed calls by 9 in the morning, and I know he's panicking because he thought he'd walk away with everything, but I've got the upper hand and I'm not letting go. I open the folder I pulled last night, with all the financial paperwork showing the trust I set up 4 months ago, holding $870,000 safe from his grasp. And I feel a flicker of control because he doesn't know how much I've protected. Then the doorbell rings and my stomach twists because I'm not expecting anyone, and I'm not in the mood for surprises. I open the door, and it's Sarah Kendall, one of Nathan's colleagues from the marketing agency, standing there looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She's holding an empty duffel bag and says Nathan sent her to pick up some of his stuff, and I just stare at her because this feels like another slap in the face. He wants his clothes and his laptop, she says, avoiding my eyes, and I step aside to let her in because I'm not going to make a scene, but I'm boiling inside. I lead her to the bedroom where Nathan's things are still in the closet like nothing's changed, and she starts packing his shirts while I stand there, arms crossed, trying to keep my voice steady. "You know about Isabelle," I say, and it's not a question because I can see it in her face. She nods and says she tried to talk Nathan out of it, but he wouldn't listen, and then she drops the real kicker that this has been going on for 9 months, maybe longer. 9 months of lies while he slept in our bed, planned our summer trip to Prince Edward County, laughed at my jokes, and I feel the anger surge because I shared my life with a stranger. I tell her his laptop is in the office, and he knows the safe code for his watch, and she hesitates before asking if the transfer went through, and I know that's why she's really here. I open my laptop and show her the screen with the pending transfer for $212,000, and I say it needs dual authentication, just like our agreement says. Sarah looks nervous and says, "Nathan's going to lose it," and I just shrug because that's his problem, not mine. She leaves with the duffel bag, but no answers about the money, and I'm left standing in the hallway feeling the weight of how calculated this was. I grab my keys and drive to my office at the tech firm because I need to focus and I need to act before Nathan tries something else. My phone keeps buzzing with his calls and texts, now demanding I approve the transfer, but I ignore them all because I'm done playing his game. By noon, I'm sitting in the office of my lawyer, Rachel Harper, who's been a friend since we worked together on a startup project 5 years ago. I slide a folder across her desk with bank statements showing Nathan's attempted withdrawal and credit card records I pulled last month. Tracking his dinners in Toronto and Montreal that match Isabelle's travel schedule, Rachel flips through the documents and says this is more than enough to file for divorce on grounds of financial misconduct and abandonment. I nod because this isn't about revenge, it's about protecting what's mine and making sure Nathan faces the consequences of his choices. She says we'll file tomorrow morning, and we're adding a restraining order to keep Nathan out of the house after his stunt yesterday, because no judge is going to side with him once they see this. I tell her to let Nathan keep thinking he's got the money for now because I want him to overplay his hand, and Rachel nods, saying his lawyer's letter just handed us more leverage. I feel a weight lift because I'm not just reacting anymore. I'm steering this, and it's a powerful feeling after weeks of feeling like I'm drowning. Rachel says, Colorado's no-fault divorce laws won't stop us from using Nathan's financial misconduct to secure the settlement. And I agree, because this isn't about spite. It's about what's fair after everything he's done. I leave her office ready to keep fighting, but then my phone pings with a text from an unknown number, and my gut tells me this is something big. The text says to meet at a coffee shop in Canada at 2 this afternoon, with important information about Nathan, and I'm torn because it could be a trap, but my curiosity wins out. I show up at the shop and sit in the back corner, watching the door, until a woman in a sharp blazer walks in, scanning the room before spotting me. She introduces herself as Julia Bennett, the HR director at Nathan's marketing agency, and I recognize her from a company barbecue a few years ago, but her face is serious now. She slides a USB drive across the table and says, "This conversation never happened because she can't be seen with me." I ask what's on the drive, and she says it's emails between Nathan and Isabelle going back 15 months, and I keep my face neutral because I don't want her to see how much this shakes me. She says Isabelle's done this before, targeting married men in her team, promising them promotions, and then dropping them once they've burned their bridges. And I feel a chill because Nathan fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Then Julia drops the real bombshell that the emails show Nathan and Isabelle sharing confidential client data with a rival agency, and that's why the company's under investigation. But it's all hush-hush for now. I'm gripping the USB drive so hard my knuckles hurt, because this isn't just about their affair anymore. It's about corporate fraud, and Nathan's in deeper than I thought. Julia says she's giving me this because Isabelle's father is a big shot at the agency, and they've been covering for her. But Nathan's reckless and dragging everyone down with him. She stands to leave and says to use the information, however, I need, but I can tell she's scared because this could ruin her too. I order a coffee to calm my nerves and plug the USB into my laptop right there because I need to know what I'm dealing with. The emails are worse than I imagined, laying out Nathan and Isabelle's affair, their plans to leave me, and Isabelle's promises of a big promotion in Vancouver. But the real shock is the files Nathan sent to her personal email with sensitive client contracts that ended up with a competitor. I'm stunned because I knew he was a liar, but I didn't think he was this stupid, and now I'm wondering if he even knows what he's gotten into. One email from Isabelle 3 months ago catches my eye, where she says, once Nathan's free from the analyst, they'll move forward with everything, and I realize they plan to use my data skills before cutting me out completely. I'm driving to Rachel's office again, because this changes everything, and I need her to see this now. I hand her the USB, and she scrolls through the emails while I sit there trying to process how the man I married could sink this low. Rachel says this could lead to criminal charges for both of them, but I stop her because I don't want Nathan in jail. I just want out of this marriage clean. She raises an eyebrow and says we can use this as leverage to make Nathan back off the money and sign the divorce on our terms without dragging this to the feds. I nod because that feels right, and I'm not here to destroy him. I'm here to protect myself. Rachel says she'll draft a counteroffer to Nathan's lawyer using just enough of these emails to show we mean business, and I feel a surge of resolve because I'm not the one who's trapped anymore. I leave her office, knowing Nathan's going to hit back hard when he sees our move, and I'm ready because this USB is my ace and I'm playing it to win. I'm sitting at my kitchen table in Canada staring at the email Rachel sent to Nathan's lawyer last night, and my heart's pounding because we're playing hardball now with evidence that could ruin him. My name is Ava Morrison, and after my husband Nathan announced he's leaving me for his boss Isabelle, trying to steal $212,000 from our joint account, only to face my countermoves with a restraining order and a divorce filing, I'm holding a USB drive that proves he's neck-deep in corporate fraud. It's Friday morning, and Rachel's counteroffer went out at dawn, demanding Nathan drop all claims to the $870,000 in my trust, accept a one-time payment of $50,000, and sign a non-disclosure agreement about his shady dealings at the marketing agency. We attached one email from the USB, just one showing Nathan forwarding client contracts to Isabel's personal email, and I know it's enough to make him sweat because he thought he had me cornered. Rachel calls to say, Michael Dawson, Nathan's lawyer, wants to meet today at her office, and I'm ready, because I've got the truth on my side, and I'm not backing down. I grab my folder of financial documents and head out, because this meeting is where I take control for good. I'm in Rachel's office by 10, sitting in a conference room with my hands steady, even though my stomach's in knots, because I know Nathan's going to walk through that door any minute. Rachel's calm, flipping through our proposal, like it's just another day, but I can tell she's ready to pounce, because she knows we've got them trapped. The door opens, and Nathan walks in with Michael Dawson, a slick guy in an expensive suit, who flashes a fake smile, like we're here to negotiate a car deal. Nathan won't look at me, his jaw tight, and I can see the panic in his eyes, because he knows we've got something big. Dawson starts talking, saying they appreciate our willingness to discuss a fair settlement, and I almost laugh because there's nothing fair about Nathan trying to rob me blind. Rachel slides our proposal across the table and says our terms are final, and I watch Dawson's face change as he reads the part about the non-disclosure and the $50,000. He says it's ridiculous that I'm offering next to nothing, and Rachel leans forward saying, I'm offering silence, which is worth a lot considering what we know. Nathan finally looks at me, and his voice is low, accusing me of blackmail, but I just stare back because I'm not the one who broke our vows. Rachel pulls out a folder and lays printed emails from the USB in front of Dawson, who scans them, and I can see him tense because this isn't just about a divorce anymore. She says these show corporate espionage and federal investigators would love to get their hands on them, and I watch Nathan's face go pale because he didn't know I had this. Dawson tries to argue that the emails are private, but Rachel cuts him off, saying they're evidence of fraud, and Nathan's in deep whether he meant to be or not. I speak up for the first time, saying Nathan accessed secure client data and sent it to Isabel's personal email, and I can see him flinch because he knows it's true. He starts stammering that Isabel said it was just market research, nothing illegal, but Dawson grabs his arm, whispering something urgent, and I know they're scrambling. Rachel says they can take their time to think it over, but the feds won't wait, and I feel a surge of power because I'm not the one cornered anymore. Dawson asks for a private moment, and they step out, leaving me and Rachel alone, and she gives me a nod, because we're winning this. I'm sitting there trying to process how it feels to have Nathan on the ropes, because this isn't how I pictured my marriage ending. But I'm not sad. I'm focused. They come back after 15 minutes, and Dawson looks like he swallowed something sour, saying Nathan's ready to accept our terms with one condition. He says Nathan wants a guarantee. I won't send the emails to the marketing agency or the police, and I look at Rachel, because this is the moment that decides everything. I think about the man I married, the one who promised me forever, at our wedding in Algonquin Park, and I realize he's gone, replaced by someone who'd sell out his own future for a quick win. I say I agree, as long as the divorce is signed today and finalized without a fight, and Dawson nods, saying they'll review the paperwork. Rachel pulls out the documents already prepared, and I watch Nathan's face as he realizes he's got no moves left. 2 hours later, it's done. Nathan signs away his claim to the trust, takes the $50,000, and agrees to no further contact. The house will be sold with the proceeds going to my trust, and I feel a strange calm because I've protected what's mine. As Nathan stands to leave, he pauses and asks if any of it was real for me, and I'm caught off guard because for a second, I see the man I used to love. I tell him it was all real for me, and that's the difference between us because I meant every vow I made. He looks away and walks out with Dawson, and I'm left sitting there feeling hollow, even though I've won. Rachel shakes my hand, saying the divorce will be official in 90 days, and I nod because this is what I wanted, but it doesn't feel like a victory. I ask her what happens to Isabelle, because the USB has enough to take her down too, and Rachel says that's not our fight unless I want it to be. I think about it and realize I've got no loyalty to Nathan, but I don't want to play dirty just to hurt her. I tell Rachel I need to think about it, and she says there's no rush because the evidence isn't going anywhere. I leave her office driving back to Canada with the USB in my pocket, and I know this isn't over because Isabel's still out there, and I'm not sure what I'll do with the power I'm holding. I'm sitting at my desk in Canada holding the USB drive that could take down Isabelle, and I know I've got to make a choice because this isn't just about Nathan anymore. My name is Ava Morrison, and after my husband of 10 years left me for his boss, Isabelle trying to steal $212,000 from our joint account only to sign away his claims yesterday in a divorce deal that left me with $870,000 in my trust. I'm ready to close this chapter. It's Monday morning, and the divorce papers are sitting in Rachel's office, waiting for the final stamp, but the USB Julia gave me with emails proving Nathan and Isabel's corporate fraud is burning a hole in my pocket because I promised not to use it against Nathan. But Isabel's a different story. I'm still angry at how she played Nathan, promising him promotions while using him to leak client data, and I can't let her walk away like nothing happened. I create a new email account on my laptop and carefully pick out the emails that show Isabel's actions without dragging Nathan in too deep because I'm keeping my word even if he doesn't deserve it. I send them to the marketing agency's CEO and compliance team, then delete the account because I want justice, not revenge. I'm signing the final divorce papers at Rachel's office 2 days later, and she hands me a news article from an Ottawa business site saying Isabelle Reed resigned from the agency amid an internal investigation. I feel a quiet satisfaction because I know my tip did that, and Isabel's finally facing the consequences of her games. Rachel says Nathan's moved to Vancouver, but he's out of a job and under scrutiny because the agency's digging into everyone involved. She tells me Nathan had to sell his car to cover rent because the $50,000 I gave him won't last long with his spending habits, and I don't feel happy or sad, just a dull sense that he made his bed. I'm walking out of her office when my phone pings with a certified letter from the marketing agency, and I open it, expecting trouble. But instead, it's an offer to consult for their compliance team. They say my data analysis skills and ethical standards would help rebuild trust after the scandal, and I'm stunned because I didn't see this coming. Julia Bennett signed the letter with a note saying justice finds a way, and I know she's thanking me for the tip. I'm packing boxes in my Canada house a week later because I've decided to sell it and start fresh somewhere new. The trust fund is safe, and I'm using part of it to set up a scholarship for women studying data analytics because I want something good to come out of this mess. I get an email from Sarah Kendall, Nathan's old colleague, who says Nathan and Isabelle split up because she never followed through on her promises, and Nathan's struggling alone in Vancouver. She says he asked about me whether I'm seeing anyone, and she told him it's none of his business, and I closed the email without replying because I'm done looking back. I'm moving to a smaller house in Orleans with a view of the river, and it's mine. No memories of Nathan, just a clean slate. The agency's consulting gig turned into a full-time role, leading their new data integrity team, and I'm building something meaningful, making sure no one else pulls what Isabelle did. I'm getting ready for a date tonight with Mark Evans, a lawyer I met through the agency's legal team, and we're grabbing dinner at a quiet spot in Ottawa to talk about data privacy and hiking trails, which Nathan would have hated, but Mark gets. Me? I'm standing in my new living room a month later, adjusting a picture frame when I realize the hollow feeling I've carried since Nathan's call is gone. I haven't heard from him in weeks, and word is, he's left the marketing world, taking a low-level sales job in Calgary, scraping by. Isabel's under federal investigation and her career's in ruins, but I don't feel glee, just a sense that the scales have balanced. I'm scrolling through my phone and see a thank you note from the first scholarship recipient, a young woman starting her analytics degree, and I smile because this is what matters now. The betrayal doesn't define me anymore. It's just a chapter that pushed me to something better. I lock my door and head to my car for dinner with Mark, and I know I'm not just surviving, I'm living. The trust fund I protected is funding more scholarships, and I'm turning Nathan's attempt to ruin me into something that lifts others up. I was right about the data all along, but more importantly, I figured out my own worth, and that's the real win.